Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of Throwing a Planter. I am Molly Sanyor and I am a ceramics artist and teacher from Richmond, Virginia. I'm coming to you from my studio. I am going to spray some water because there was some dry dust, some clay dust, and clay dust kills. So I'm spritzing the air with some water to bring down any clay particles from stepping on that dried plastic, and it's just fun, right? Okay, so tonight the objective is to combine this little pedestal form with this base form with the goal of making a big planter. I love plants. I started a garden in COVID and have to move all of those plants in. So all of my plants are in my house. See, this one has no bottom. See that? No bottom. And this one I'm going to put over here. Don't mind my wheel. It just has an issue where it turns on by itself at full speed whenever it wants if I take my foot off. So that's that. And this pot, guys, I am so sorry. If you watched me throw this in part 1 and in part 2, then you know how off-center this is. Now, look, these are the Molly Sanders ceramic, the black Molly Sanders ceramic speedball bats. This is why I love them too. They're easy to put on. You just find your 3 dots. And that's the hole that matches my bat pins. So I kind of put this back on. But sometimes matching it back on can be the hardest challenge. So let me see. Okay, there we go. Got one. There we go. So it's really off center. See? So I might have should have started fresh because if you saw part 1 and 2, you saw I kind of rushed through the coating up and down process. I could have taken my time to prepare the clay better, but I kept going. And then, I did add handles because functionality, if this is going to be a big, heavy plant, I'm going to need something to grip onto it. So I'm going to wire cut this, clean wire. And see, this is where I have this dry clay from last time. You should clean your pottery studio after every throwing session because when clay dries, it can become clay dust, and clay dust kills over time. All right, nice and tight. I'm going to wire cut this away from the back because I've not done that yet. You know what, though? Before I do that, I'm going to feel, do I want to pre-trim anything? And I might. It's kind of why I don't wire cut yet, because I like to take a trim tool and get some of the thickness off the bottom. Okay. You can see how wet the bottom of this pot is. If I take the trimmings and squeeze it, I could really throw this clay. Maybe I will. We'll see. Wire cutter. All the way down against the bat. Oh, hello, YouTube. If y'all are following me on YouTube, make sure you follow my channel. I'm starting to get more active. I would love for you to get active with me. Let me know your feedback. All right, so I'm going to flip this. So I have a bigger bat here. I'm going to put this on here. And I had to wait for this to get leather hard. But when I wire cut the bottom, you could see that that clay that just came off is really wet. So then I try not to touch the pot. And I'm going to sandwich flip this over. Ready? Oh, it's heavy. It's heavy, guys. But we got it. Now, here's a shout out again to speedball bats. And because I wire cut, this comes off. Speedball bats, I can just pop it back on. I can figure out where it is. This big size bat doesn't have any of that. So I've got to figure out where my thickness is. I like to feel what I'm working with. And this is really wet, so I'm going to have to wait again before I attach the 2 pieces. So that's what we'll get done today. We'll trim this off, let her dry. I've got to find my holes that will connect on my bat. I teach high school ceramics to all levels, beginners, advanced. You have no idea where this hole is. They don't have the 3 dots on the end. I have to just pick up. There's one. There's one. Okay, let me get this on here. I think I need to get my bat splash pan off. This thing. See, you should clean. I've got all this clay to clean. We don't want that to fall or spill. Gently set that right there. Slide this. Now we can put this on. Where did those holes go? There's a hole. Okay. Now, somebody asked me how many pounds this was. People always ask how many pounds it is, and I never weigh the clay. But if I had to guess, I think this is about I'm such a bad role model. Clean your studio before you leave it. When you're done working in it, clean it. All right, find these holes. This could be the hardest part. Let me see. There's a hole. There we go. Get this other one on the bat pins. Make sure you take your time. There it is. So we're on there. Now I can center this, and then I can trim some of this thickness. Get some of this off, make it easier for myself. So there's a few ways you can trim your pot or center to trim your pot. I might just leave this where it is. And then I want to kind of blend the texture that was happening down here. That's what I think really started getting it really off center. If you go back to part 1 and 2, I think it was making it thin in some spots. There's like an air bubble under there. There's like a hard chunk of clay. And nobody told me it was off center the whole time. There's a chat box. I know it's kind of far away, but I can kind of read. So thank y'all for bearing with me while I had my off-centered planter in the works in part 1 and 2, pretty much. Here we are, part 3, adding this texture. I was hoping that part 3 it would be done. I'm going to kind of smooth over. I always have what I would say to my students in the back of my head, and I would definitely tell my students, just leave that part be. Just leave that be. So I'm going to leave that be. But we're getting those horizontal lines, so that's good. And a lot of times, like, what am I listening to? But tone tells us thickness. Thick, so we can remove some of this. But this is really wet. Look how wet this is. I could literally throw this. So what I'm going to do now is just round this bottom part off. Make sure I've removed all the extra thickness I can. Kind of wish this was the other way, right side up, because then I could get one hand in there and kind of press on these. Instead, I'm just carving away what I think is the thickness. Now, I did not put any lugs on this piece. Normally, when you flip a pot upside down, you put lugs on it. But because of the circumference diameter of the piece and the weight of it, I mean, I should be somewhat careful because nothing's holding it on here. But going kind of fast. Now, I should also be patient. See all this clay just sticking to it? That's so gross because it's dry. I mean, I'm sorry, because it's wet. So if you're trimming a wet pot, it wants to just come off and stick on itself, and it is just a yucky trimming. So again, I would tell my students, be patient. Let the pot dry. You'll get a cleaner trim. So I guess I'll listen to myself there. That's about as far as we're going to get here. Let it dry. Okay, so now we will, where am I going to put this? Right here. Okay, we're going to pick this guy up, move in the pedestal, and kind of see, let's check. So still thick, but we'll get a better trim. I'm going to turn this off because y'all saw my wheel go flying before. This can get straight. No, I will do a cleanup tonight because you really cannot leave this kind of mess in a pottery studio and not be concerned. All right, back to our speedball bats, which here's again why I love these speedball bats. Speedball bats have been around forever, but we just collaborated to bring pottery studios black ones. See, who doesn't want a black one? Before they're like orange and green. All right, so this is the base. Unfortunately, I have loose bat pins, which I've said for years, and I just need to fix the bat pins. And, I was telling y'all this story earlier. One time I had a first-year potter, and he could not get the bat on, and that was his most frustrating thing, and he threw the bat. He was so angry, and I was like, no. I need to just breathe. All right. One thing I'm going to do is measure with my calipers how wide this opening is. That's the diameter of the pedestal. So I'm going to use this measurement to see how wide. Okay, looks perfect. So now we have to be patient again. I need this one to be somewhat dry here to support the weight of that piece, but I need this lip to stay fresh so I can score and slip on it. So I think what I'll do is as I step away, I will wrap just the lip of this piece. Just the lip. Let some air get up around there to firm up these walls to keep this lip fresh to score and slip. So air circulating around this. My wheel is turned off. This one's kind of trimmed, and then I'll just clean up. So thanks for tuning in. I'm sorry that we'll have to be back for a part 4. Stay tuned. Part 4, stacking this piece on top of this piece to make a pedestal planter for all of my indoor plants. If you want to see some of my plants, Molly's Senior Garden on Instagram. Okay, thanks for tuning in for part 3. We'll be back. We have to be patient. Patience is a virtue in clay.